The Ministry of External Affairs has confirmed, our Chief Secretary has spoken to the Foreign Secretary, confirming the unfortunate death of Naveen Shekharappa Gaudar. It's a very unfortunate situation. When I also spoke to the friend of Naveen who was with him yesterday night, he says that Naveen just left to a nearby store which was 100 meters away to buy some provisions when this incident happened, and after some time this boy Srikanth gets a phone call from Naveen's phone by some local official saying that so-and-so person has died in this thing.
All right. Well, my colleague Shrija also joins us at the moment. Shrija, the nodal officer there, confirming that the student who's been killed in Kharkiv is in fact Naveen. He's from Karnataka, and he was at a grocery store where we believe he was shot dead.
Well, that's the information that we are getting at the moment. Now, this particular deceased, he has been identified as Naveen in the age group of 20 to 21, and he also hails from Haveri district of Karnataka. What we do know at the moment is that he was a fourth-year medical student at the Kharkiv National Medical University in Kharkiv. So what we also hearing from one of his friends, what he's also spoken to some of the Indian officials here, is that Naveen, at that particular moment when the shelling was on, he was just about a few meters away from his apartment. He was out there to buy groceries when the shelling had happened, and he had lost his life. We also understand, at the moment is that several of his friends, they have taken shelter at the moment in the bunkers. So until about yesterday, we understand that Naveen, he along with his other friends and classmates, they were all in the bunker, but it was just, we understand just a few hours ago that where Naveen was out there to, this was around 10:15 to 10:30 a.m. In Ukrainian time, where he was standing in a queue before a grocery shop, and at that particular time where the Russian forces had in fact killed him. But we also understand that right after this particular incident, his body was immediately moved to a morgue, and his friends, certain of his friends and classmates also confirming to the fact that they were not allowed to see him or been able to visit the hospital, and there's a lot of confusion at the moment that's prevailing, that where exactly he's been kept. But as far as Mr. Manoj Ranjan, who's the nodal officer here in Karnataka, is concerned, he also says that they are in touch with the officials and also the embassy in Ukraine to ensure and also try and bring his mortal remains back to the state.
Thanks, Shrija, for joining us. So with that update, Nidhi, back to you. At the moment, sources also indicating that the situation, particularly in Kharkiv, seems to be deteriorating rapidly. Once again, questions will be asked, on how soon can students from Kharkiv, be brought to border areas from where, the Indian government can then facilitate their crossover and, of course, facilitate their arrival back home.
I think that is the big question, and there's really nobody that can give us a definitive answer at this point. It's a very, very difficult situation. It's an invasion that's going on, a very aggressive one by Russia. And in this uncertainty, I think, what the government of India is saying is that they're trying to do what they can. They've got officials on the ground at border towns, etc. But there are obstacles in place because it is a conflict zone. Clearly, now for days, we've seen the government of India emphasizing again and again that its only priority is the safety of Indian nationals who are stranded there, which is why they have said that they actually ended up abstaining in UN votes with regard to Russia, because, they said that our objective is clearly to get our people out, and then we look at the rest of it. So that is what they're trying to do. We've seen special flights being operated, ministers now being flown into these neighboring countries. But what a lot of students are telling us on the ground from there is that they're just not able to get in touch with officials on the ground, even though the government says it's got people there. There are thousands of students, for example, who were stranded at the Kyiv railway station, and they were telling us yesterday and today that they just can't find anyone that they can touch base with. And so I think more than, sort of ministers who would obviously help by overseeing operations, but what really is needed are the foot soldiers of the External Affairs Ministry who, they can reach out to at this time. And a lot of students have said that they're just not able to get in touch with anyone. They're facing very, very difficult times at the moment. They reached this railway station in Kyiv as suggested by the embassy, and they were told about special trains operating. Many of them were able to board those trains, but many others have not been able to do so. They've had Ukrainian security officials shove them aside, manhandle them, push them around, and not let them board trains or even cross the border into Poland and elsewhere. So Indian nationals are facing a really, really difficult time in these countries.